out in the news recently, obviously there's been 100 days for Barack Obama. You're an Obama supporter?
I voted yes for him, obviously. And I think that we needed a different perspective, obviously. And yet it takes all of us in our own little way, looking at our lives, making our own choices for ourselves, because he can't solve the problems in my life or your life. We have to be able to say, wait, I'm a grown-up too. I have to be this person who has to answer for myself. I can't expect the government to look after me because they have too many problems and they're broke. They just can't look after me or my family. So I have to be the good lioness that I am, go hunt on that Serengeti and feed the cubs.
Yeah. Now let's get back to the record, because the next single is going to be Welcome to England, which is an interesting title. Tell me what that's about.
Welcome to England is really about a woman who has gone to live in her lover's world. And it could be from LA to New York, it could be from Manchester to London. And she has left her friends, her family, everything, her job, to go be with him and create a new life. And as she took on his friends, his life, his family, she lost herself. So the one thing she forgot was to bring pieces of herself with her and to retain some of those sides to herself, whether she likes to travel or the things she likes to do that she stopped doing in order to kind of become a part of his world. But then his world became the center of her world instead of she had her world and he had his world. And they were these two independent forces. So that's really what that's about.
Well, that's interesting, because if you just, chats with girlfriends, you'll hear that happens so much, doesn't it? Where even if you're in a relationship, not necessarily moving away, but just being in a relationship, I think people can forget themselves and it becomes about the relationship and pleasing the partner and all of this. Especially, but women tend to do that.
Women tend to do that.
Yeah, so that's Stripes Chord. That song. Now let's talk about, I did read somewhere that you described the album as audio masculine.
Oh, yeah? Did I do that? I have all these little phrases for the day sometimes. Yeah, that's the idea, I guess. I think we worked very diligently on seducing with ether this time. The sonics are always something now in the last few years that I'm really focused on. With the team. It's never me alone. Mark and Marcel in the control room, and all the musicians who add so much of their parts and their perspective to the sound of the records.
Yeah. Now you mentioned Mark. Is that your husband?
Mark happens to be my husband.
Now, what's it like working with your husband in such a? Because I couldn't think of anything worse than coming to work with my boyfriend than having to see him later on.
Well, it's very demanding sometimes because it gets quite heated in there, very passionate, and when we disagree, and we've had to become conscious, that we're parents too, and when to leave it back in the studio and not to bring it around her. But sometimes we fail miserably and she'll say, hey, you too, take the record outside. It's family time. And so sometimes we have to get back into, okay, we have to leave the artist, the producers back in the studio and go back and be people.
Yeah, it's finding that balance, isn't it? And just
tricky balance sometimes, but it's also deliciously dangerous. And I like a little danger.
Indeed. Now, you've got an amazing back catalogue as well. I mean, I remember having your first album, just listening to it religiously. When I was kind of angsty teen. I loved it. One of my favourite songs ever is on it. Do you have a favourite out of your entire back catalogue? Your favourite track that means so much to you, or that you love performing live the best?
Well, sometimes I go in phases, if I'm honest. I do just like everybody, when you pick up a coat or a handbag that you're just accessorizing, there'll be a song that I adopt for a few months, and then just because its meaning will have changed when I wrote it to now, I'll see different faces and different, it'll relate to my current situation, and so that's why that one at the time will be taken. And I must be honest, it does change all the time. If I start picking them, they're going to mutiny on me.
Yeah.
I have to be very careful with them.